Welcome back to Couples Only, where we are a safe space for our couples to talk about challenges and issues related to relationships. Now, today, we're definitely going to talk about something that is very important and does sometimes affect the success of relationships: credit. Or as some people say, credit. So, you ever heard the saying, the money and the honey will mess up a relationship every time? Well, credit is definitely related to the money part, and we're going to talk about that today because a lot of times things happen to us in life. We have medical bills, we get laid off, things happen, and we just kind of lose track of our credit. And we don't know really where we stand with our credit. So we're going to talk about that today. So today, we're going to talk about how to get the credit cozy. So, first of all, everybody probably already knows you get one free pull a year. So you can pull your credit for free once a year. Now, you can pull your credit report as many times as you like. It doesn't cost anything at all. But the free report is one time a year. And of course, that's Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. And you can call the 1-800 number and they will be more than happy to assist you with getting your free credit report. So let's talk about how your score is determined, because this is some things that I myself did not know and researched and felt like I was writing a whole school report. It took me back to high school when I had flashbacks about writing all those notes on index cards. But let's talk about how your credit score is determined. So, payment history is 35% of how your score is determined. That means, are you paying on time every month? Not, I paid on time to this month and then I was late next month and month after that, and then I was on time the following month. That is what's considered a payment history, and that makes up 35% of your credit score. The next thing is your current loans and credit card debt. That makes up 30% of your credit score. So that's car loans, these personal loans where you can go, like I think Lendmark and these other places where they send you these letters in the mail and they say, hey, we'll send you $5,000. That affects your credit score because that's considered a loan. So you're looking at car loans, credit cards, mortgages, any other loans that you may take out. All of that is factored into your 30%. The next thing is the length of your credit history, which makes up 15% of your score. So that means, how long have you had those accounts? Did you just open them yesterday? Have you had them for the last 10 years? It goes to the stability of your credit history. Are you faithful? Do you have a history of making payments and making them on time? And then there's account diversification. This makes up 10% of your score, and I actually didn't know this. And what that means is everything a credit card? Is everything a loan, a personal loan? Are you diversified? Do you have a couple of credit cards, a couple of personal loans, a mortgage, a car loan? Do you have varying items on your credit report? And again, that only makes up 10%. And then, of course, recent activity, that makes up 10%. So a lot of people think recent activity means within the last 30 days. And that is recent. But when people pull your credit for the purpose of providing you with a loan of any kind, recent is the last 12 months. So they look at the last anywhere from 6 to 12 months to see, hey, is this person paying on time? Are they consistent with their payments? Or have they been late? Are any of these loans or debts 30 days or more overdue? Are they medical bills as opposed to actual loans? Because medical bills can go on your credit report, especially if you don't pay them and they send them over to a collection agency. And we're going to talk about collection agencies in just a second. So that's kind of what they consider your credits and recent credit activity, anything from 6 to 12 months. Now, you say, well, I got a lot of stuff on my credit. I've got some student loans. I've got a mortgage. I've got a car loan. I have some personal loans. I went to the bank and took out a personal loan because I needed to repair some things on the house. I have credit cards. So you have all these things, and anything life in general could have happened. You could have gotten sick. Someone could have gotten sick in the family. Someone could have gotten laid off, or maybe you had to change jobs and that pay from that job, maybe not as much as it paid from the previous job. Maybe you're a one income household. Anything could have happened to cause your credit to not be what it used to be, or cause it to not be where it needs to be. But it's okay. No need for arguments in the home. No need for you and the spouse or you and your mate to argue. You can work together to pull this together and get it where it needs to be. Now, some people would say, let's work on both our credits at the same time. And then you have some people that would say, let's work on your credit score first, and then we'll work on mine next. I don't know that there is a right or wrong approach to that when you're dealing with married or couples living together. I don't know that there's a right or wrong approach for it. I would say for me, let's work on the credit score that's not as bad, because that won't take as long to fix. So for example, if you have one person in the home whose credit score may be a 600, and you have another person in the home whose credit score may be a 400, and that's possible for varying reasons, that's very possible. I would take the approach of, let's work on the 600 credit score because it's not going to take as long to repair, and then let's work on the person with the lower of the credit scores. Again, there is no right or wrong approach to this when you're working on this as a couple. It's really up to you. But how to repair? So first thing you want to do is pull your credit report and check for any errors. And this is possible. You may have been a victim of identity theft and you didn't even know it. And you get your credit report and there are 10 accounts that are open that you didn't open. So you want to check for that. You want to check for any payment errors. Maybe they have you as having some late payments when you really paid those on time. If you have your canceled checks, if you paid by check, or if you paid online, you have your bank statement, you can call and say, hey, this is not correct. I paid you on time. Please fix this. You also want to look on and focus on small regular payments. So for example, if you have something on your credit report that maybe the payments are $20 a month, you want to focus on getting those paid and paid up and paid off. Maybe increasing those payments to $40 a month if you can afford it and if your budget allows for it. You also want to reduce those high balances. So if you have an account, barring of course a mortgage, where that's going to be obviously a high balance, but it may be if you have a credit card that has a $1,500 balance on it, let's focus on getting that balance down, and we're going to talk about why in a few minutes, as quickly as possible. That will greatly increase your credit score. And then you want to maybe consider, I'm not saying you have to, but you can consider debt loan, a consolidated loan. So maybe you do have 10 accounts that are open and it's just too much to try to keep up with all those different people that you need to pay. You can consider a debt consolidation loan, consolidate everything into one payment with one lender that you have to be concerned with, instead of 10 different lenders and you're trying to keep up with who gets paid and when they get paid. Sometimes it can be a lot. You also want to work with a credit counseling agency to help you with this, especially if you have a lot on your credit report that is very overwhelming and you're trying to really tackle it and figure out how we can get this going and how it can fit into your budget. I would say beware though, make sure they are a credible counseling agency. Make sure that they aren't trying to take shortcuts. And by shortcuts, I mean, some of you may have heard certain agencies will say, well, we can get your credit straight. We're just going to apply for you a TIN. And for those of you who don't know what that is a tax identification number. And so they say, we'll apply for a TIN and then we're going to build credit under that number. Well, from what I've read, and of course you all feel free to call me or inbox me or email me and let me know if I'm wrong. But from what I've heard, that is not exactly the best way to fix credit, because it is not exactly a legit way to fix credit by creating a whole new number and then trying to build credit under that number. So make sure when you seek out a credit counseling agency, it is an agency that is, of course, a legit agency and that will legitly try to assist you with getting your credit corrected. And then, of course, you and your partner may want to talk about, what is your goal score? Are you trying to get to 850? Are you just trying to get to 700 because you just want to buy a house and you need a 700 credit score? So talk to your partner about what your goal is, and then also talk to your partner about the time frame for that goal. You want it to be realistic. If your credit score is 500, I don't know that it's realistic that it will be 800 in 2 months. I can't really say that that's possible. I do not know. I don't think so though. So you want to set realistic goals, because you don't want to become frustrated in the process of trying to fix your credit. And then you feel like, well, it's been 2 months already and I only got 10 points. You know, so again, if you're working with a credit counseling agency, talk to them about what's realistic. You see a lot of commercials. There's Credit Karma. There's, I think, Experian Boost, where you have people say, I gained 100 points in 30 days. I don't know that that's realistic. I'm not going to say it's not. I just don't know. And so we don't want you all to have unrealistic expectations, especially if you are trying to work towards purchasing a home. Now, make sure you dispute any errors that are there, and we said this before, so any late payment errors that may be there, even something as simple as your address, because if they have the incorrect address, you may want to look into that just to make sure that you have not become a victim of identity theft and there are other accounts in your name that are going to a different address. You also want to make sure that you dispute any things like incorrect balances. Those could be incorrect. Errors do happen. And while we do have Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax, they're humans that work there and they do make errors at times. So you just want to kind of make sure you look down it, be very careful, look at each and every detail. I know that credit reports can be very confusing. They have a lot of information on them, but just take your time and look at them. Highlight anything that you feel like is incorrect. Most credit reports will provide you with contact information for that particular creditor for you to call them and say, hey, this is not correct and please adjust it. Make sure that even when you call to dispute errors, you follow up with a letter. And you send that letter as documentation for you that you've requested that this information be corrected. And it's also in writing to the creditor that you are requesting that this information be corrected. Now, something else you might want to do is pay late or past due accounts. So if you have an account, a credit card, a personal loan, a car loan, anything of that nature, and it's late, pay them, especially for the cars. Now listen, I just want to keep it real. You don't want to wake up one morning, come outside, and your car's gone. That's not a pretty sight, and you got to go to work. So if you have a car loan and it's late, call them. Most people, they don't want the property they have loaned you the money for. They really just want the money. So if you're working on late payments, call them. If you've had some unexpected medical bills, hospitalizations, layoff, call them, talk to them, say, this is what's going on. I've, had this situation happen. I've been laid off. I've been sick. I've had sick kids, and I need to try to make an arrangement so we can get this caught up. Okay? There's nothing like a tow truck coming to your house in the middle of the night to take your car. This is not good at all. Now, the other thing you might want to consider is increasing your credit limits on your credit cards. Now, some people say, why would I do that? I'm just going to spend more. So no, the purpose is not to spend more, but it is to increase your debt ratio. So what that means is, let's say you have a $300 credit limit, but you owe $250. If you get a increase to maybe $500, then that decreases your debt to what you owe on that credit card, and it makes it look a little better. Now, if you're behind several months, then the odds of them increasing the limit on your credit card are slim to none, and you may want to play catch up first, make regular payments, and then request an increase in your credit limit. Now, the other thing you can do is become an authorized user on someone's credit card that has a good payment history. So for our couples, if you have a credit card that you have a good payment history on, you pay on time, you have a good credit limit, you keep your balance low, but your spouse or loved one is working on their credit, you can make them an authorized user. Now, what that means is they don't have to necessarily get a card. Okay, for those of you who may be thinking, I do not want their credit bad enough, I don't want them using up my credit. What that means is they are just an authorized user. So then your debt / credit becomes their debt / credit. So if you're making great payments, you're on time, you're keeping the balance low, it not only reflects your credit, it will reflect on your spouse's or loved one's credit as well. And you can do this without actually having to give them a credit card. You can just make them an authorized user, is what it's called, on the credit account. So that will help them with their credit score as well. And then you can also leave old accounts open. So a lot of people say, oh man, I've had that JCPenney's card for 10 years. I don't really even shop in that store. I should close it. No, leave it open. Go to JCPenney's, buy a pair of pantyhose, a blouse, some pants, pay it off, because that reflects on your credit history. It shows that you are responsible and you've been responsible over a lengthy period of time. So you don't want to close it. You want to keep it, new, and you want to show activity, because that's what's important, the showing of activity on that account that has some history and some good standing history on it. Now, those are just a few things that you can do, and there are so many more things, and that's why I suggest working with a credit agency if that is your choice. You can also go online and Google it. None of this information I'm saying is earth-shattering or enlightening of any kind. It's all information you can Google if you choose, you and your spouse choose to do this on your own. The main thing I would say is first develop a plan on how you want to tackle your credit and how you want to improve your credit, and a time frame for what you want to improve it in. Especially if you have goals such as buying a house, buying a new car, and you want to get a car at a lower interest rate. Automobiles salespeople will get you in a car, but your credit score will depend on what kind of car you get in and what those payments look like. Are you going to get high interest or low interest? So that's something you might want to talk about. Now let's talk about those pesky collection agencies. You all know them. They call you and you ignore their calls. I know you do. I've done it. It's okay. We've all done it. And when they just keep calling, you go ahead and log their contact information in as Bill. So that's the bill collector. Or you block their number. They just call from a different one. So let's talk about collection agencies, and let's, learn how to not be afraid of Bill when he calls. All right, so the first thing you need to understand about collection agencies are, of course, they are not your original debtor. That account has been sold to them. They have purchased that. They have made an agreement with the company. We will buy off this debt for X amount of dollars, and then we will go after that person and collect that debt. So for example, let's say you have a hospital bill. You went to Memorial. You had to have care there. The bill was $1,500, you didn't pay it. Memorial tried and tried and tried and sent you letters and you didn't pay it. So what happens is the collection agents, they sell it to the collection agency. So your bill may have been $1,500. They sell it to the collection agency for maybe $1,200. So they've gotten $1,200 of the $1,500. They're done, right? They're like, out of my hands. I'm sick of it. So the agency, the collection agency then starts calling, right? Hey, can we speak with Carolyn? You know, like y'all friends or something. And then they go, yes, this is Carol, Miss So-and-so from the ABC Collection Agency. And you mad now, right? Because you wish you hadn't answered the phone. And they say, you know, we're calling on behalf of Memorial Hospital to collect this debt, blah, blah, blah. And then you get mad with the people and you hang up the phone, right? Some of us. Okay. So the best thing when your account has been sold to a collection agency is to figure out if you can make out some payment plan, because really that's really all they want is some money. They want you to make a plan. How can we get this money? Some collection agencies will go down as little as $50 a month to pay off the debt. It just depends on how large the debt is. But do know that the collection agency goes on your credit report. So they aren't going to go away, and it will affect your credit score. It will affect your debt to income ratio. So you can't outrun them. You can't hide from them. And the best thing is to just kind of try to deal with them. So now, let's say you do have a credit account and you've not paid it and you just figured I'll deal with it later, or you weren't able to deal with it and now it's become 180 days or more old. Some companies do what's called a charge off. So a charge off is when it's 180 days past due or more, and the only thing you can do to get that off your credit report or to show it as a positive rating is to pay it in full. All right, so a charge off doesn't mean it's gone. It just means the company has said, you know what, we're tired of calling her, we're tired of writing letters to him, and this is a loss to us, and we're not removing this. It's just gonna sit on their credit report unless they pay us our money in full. Now, there's also something else you can work out with agencies and debtors that is called a pay for delete. So this is something I learned. So a pay for delete means you can contact that creditor and say, I will pay you the full amount if you agree to take this off my credit report altogether. Some debtors will and some debtors won't. Or you can say, can we work out an amount that I can pay that you will delete this off my credit report? And again, all debtors and creditors will not do this, but some will. It doesn't hurt to ask. Just call and say you want to speak to someone about a pay for delete. And again, that just simply means you pay the amount that you guys agreed on in return for them deleting it totally off your credit report. Now, if your account has been sold to a collection agency and that collection agency is calling you and writing you and you're like, I don't even know who you are. What do you mean? I don't even remember this account. You can write a letter and say, I do not have a contract with you or an agreement with you to pay this debt that you are speaking about. Please stop calling or contacting me, as I do not have an agreement to pay this debt with you in the amount of whatever the amount is for. You can also request, please send me the original agreement with my signature on it that has stated I agree to pay your company the debt that you are seeking. So there's a plus, there's a minus to that. The plus to that is, because they are not the original creditor, they will just stop calling you and they will close the account. The minus to that is they'll just simply sell it to someone else and then they'll start calling you. So you can't really outrun, if you will, the debt. You can simply try to figure out how to pay it off or pay it down or agree on a payoff amount. So there's a positive to that, and then there's a negative to that. You can send them that letter and and they will stop calling you, and it will no longer be on their account, but they'll just sell it to someone else, and then that new person will start calling you. Now, let's talk about credit score ranges. A lot of people heard, okay, 900 means you got perfect credit. It's the best credit in the world. And that's good credit. Don't get me wrong. But a lot of us don't understand the credit ranges. So exceptional credit is 800 to 850. So anywhere between 800 and 850 is exceptional credit. You're great. You can probably borrow a few $100,000 with a very, very low interest rate. Very good credit is considered 740 to 799. So you're still in the good range. You can still get pretty decent interest rates, but maybe not as good as if you had excellent or exceptional. Good credit is considered 670 to 739. So you've got good credit. Again, your interest rate won't be that high. It may not be as low as if you had exceptional credit, but still you're in a good place, and you're going to still get some decent interest rates on any loans and credit cards. Fair credit is considered 580 to 669. So that's kind of the shaky part, because if you're at the 580, then obviously your interest rates won't be as good, and you'll probably pay some really high interest rates on anything that you're trying to purchase or any loans that you're trying to secure. If you're in that 669 range, then you're like almost there, but not quite. And then poor credit is 300 to 579. So if you're in the 300 to 579 range, then you're at risk of either not receiving credit at all. No one is willing to loan you any money, or you may need a co-signer because they feel like you're just too much of a risk, or you just simply won't get the loan at all because they feel like you are not responsible and or capable of repaying that debt back. So again, those categories are 800 to 850 is exceptional, 740 to 799 is very good, 670 to 739 is good, 580 to 669 is fair, and 300 to 579 is poor. So if you fall in the fair to poor range, then we've got some work to do, but we can do it together. Now, when you're buying a home, and then if you're considering buying a home, and we all know what 2022 brought, which was, I think, a housing boom. Everybody in the world was buying a house or trying to buy a house because the interest rates were just really great and they were so low. And at one point, it truly became a seller's market where they could literally ask for any price they wanted and would get it. And there were bidding wars over houses, and it was just really crazy. Some of that is starting to calm down, but not a whole lot. And so you still need a really great credit score to purchase a home. So if you're looking at trying to get a conventional loan, then you're going to need at least a credit score of 620 or higher. And the higher, the better. The higher your credit score, the lower your down payment and the lower your interest rate. If you want to get an FHA loan, then you need at least a 580. If you need a VA loan because you're a veteran and you want to get a VA loan, you need at least a 580. And if you want to get a USDA loan, which is you want to purchase a house in a rural or suburban area, you need a credit score of at least 640. So as you can see, 620, again, that puts us in the fair range. 580 puts us in the fair range, and 640 puts you in the fair range of credit scoring. But those are the credit scores you will need if you are considering buying a home in this market. Interest rates are going up, and the last time I saw on the news, it was I think it was either 5 or 6%. So just think about that, and that's probably with really great, excellent credit. So if you're not in the very good and above range and interest rates are already at 5 or 6%, you can imagine what you'll probably pay on the interest of your home if you're trying to buy one right now and your credit score isn't where you necessarily want it to be. So as we wrap up this particular session about credit and how important it really is and how it drives just about everything we want to do. Don't forget to contact your local credit counseling agency to set an appointment for you and your spouse or your loved one so you can work together to repair your credit. Until next time, see you again on For Couples Only.